For our members of the media, President Todd will now take your questions. Yes, Jackie.
What are your detailed plans for after retirement?
Well, I mentioned those areas that I want to focus in. Economic development is something that I'm very interested in. I created the first vice president of commercialization that Lynn Heller occupies, and I don't spend enough time with him. He's got some exciting things going on. Last year, even though not many people picked it up, the venture club that we started calculated that $46.7 million was invested in 88 early stage companies just in this area, 39 of which had our intellectual property. Average salary $78,000 for those jobs in those 39 companies. So I want to do that. And STEM education, I'm on a national committee. I chair a national committee for the Land Grant Association, APLU, where over 100 presidents now have committed to really creating true math science teachers. So many of the teachers that teach out there right now aren't really schooled in math and science. They just took one more course than somebody else down the hall. And we need to change that, and we've committed to that, and I'm chairing that national committee right now. And so that's the second area that I'm interested in. And I want to talk about different funding models for higher education. I don't think we can continue to fund it like we have done in the past. We right now have a challenge at this university in that we want to be a research university and drive those numbers for the good of the state, but we also need educational buildings, business and law and rentals and building and so forth. And the fourth one was, I think I want to have time to really think about how other states have done what we're trying to do and sit down with legislators, both state and national, to discuss ideas that I might have for that. And the fifth thing I put on this list was student recruiting. Patsy and I love students. Gosh, see Ryan sitting over there, and I see these students that pass through this place in 4 years and come out different human beings. Spectacular. And we want to go around the state and tell our story. I think there's students who should come here that don't, that should be exposed to the type of learning experiences that they can have here. We do research here. You're damn right we do research here. No apologies for that. If we don't do research here, this state is in trouble. And if kids don't see innovation and creativity in their first year in their college, they're missing something. And so we want to recruit kids and tell them they need to come here. We came to a town of 2,000 people. We made it. And so we're both salesmen. We want to get out and hit the road. Plus, we want to travel some, relax a little bit, and stuff like that. So, Tom.
Your accomplishments in 10 years, what are you most proud of?
You know, boy, that's really a tough one. I'm not, I can run down a list of things because it's not one thing. It's, well, it may be just a culture of the place. I mean, when I say that we've changed the slope of the accomplishments, you don't do that unless you change the attitude. I remember when I took office, one thing I said is we can change your attitude and it doesn't cost $1. Quit rolling your eyes when we say top 20. Quit thinking we can't do that. Why do we think that way? Because we do that way if we think that way. And so I think it's been an attitude change. It's been an attitude change relative to students. The students just have to be tops on our list for just being students. But I look at Mitch Barnhart back there, and I look at my first year in office was spent on athletics. Not fun, 9 hours in front of the NCAA committee, talking about things we shouldn't have done that we did. And don't talk about those things anymore. I talk about winning rings that I've got at home in sports that we've never won in before in the SEC. I talk about kids who put Kentucky across their chest playing volleyball and playing soccer and playing some of the Olympic sports that didn't even have video equipment or assistant coaches. We're doing that right. It's nice, too, to win football games on Saturday and have #1 recruiting classes for basketball and so forth. I look at the medical center complex. And not only the fact we're building a hospital, but we're doing the right thing. Many of you heard me tell the story about Mike Karp when we recruited him. From UCLA, third in the nation. People said, you're going to pay him too much money. You know, you can't get him. If you're going to be in our class that we're trying to get to, you got to hire people in those places. But the reason he came is because he wanted to help change the state of Kentucky's health care. And the guy does that. He hires people like David Moliterno out of Cleveland Clinic that makes calls in Rockcastle County. We're going to Harrison we're doing those things. So the medical center. And then academically, I don't think people understand all the changes that have been made there. We've really changed our selection process. I'm proud of the diversity of this class, which is the record number of applications we received, the number of African-American faculty administrators. I'm proud of the way that we've gone through with our faculty and faculty senate, changing our undergraduate studies program. Proud that we have a provost who values those kinds of changes in diversity and so forth. So it's hard. I mean, I'm sure I may have left out something, but I think I've covered everything. I'm proud of our catering service that had won a gold award. You know, it's an attitude. I mean, it is an attitude. Why in the world can't we in this state figure out that we can be just as good in academics as we can in athletics? Give me a break. We got 7 banners down at Rupp Arena, but you know, it hadn't changed our economy a lot, except on Saturday nights and Tuesday nights. So let's get with it. But attitude, Cheryl.
What is your reasoning on retiring at this time? And second, do you think the top 20 model has been misunderstood? And if you could go back and re-communicate that top 20 model, what would you say?
I would tell people to listen and read and think, because we did explain it and we did show it, and we're only measuring 4 domains in the top 20. Undergraduate quality, graduate quality, faculty quality, and research. 4 things. We got 9 measures we track in each of those. These are national measures. We don't make them up. Just as an example, for the undergraduate quality, we measure the ACT. It's not an easy one to change in this state. Just look at the numbers. How rapidly have the ACT scores gone up in Kentucky? Not very fast. That's a pool. We could go out and hire 40% of our freshmen out, or recruit 40% of our freshmen from California and Texas. There are schools that are doing that right now. And then as soon as they get their degree, they'll leave the state. You want to do that? Is that a fun thing? Not going to do that. We're measuring student-faculty ratio. We haven't been able to move that. But that's, I mean, is it hard to understand that we're measuring student-faculty ratio? To get that? We can't change it. We can't hire faculty, because we're not going to throw more students in here in big classrooms. We've done it for too many years. And graduation rate, we have the highest in the state of Kentucky, 61% for public universities. And that's what you got to change, because that's what gets bachelor's degrees into the workforce, which get companies to think they can grow and sustain themselves here. So, Cheryl, those are the 3 things we're measuring in undergraduate quality. What is there I got to explain about that if people would read that? In measuring research, we're measuring federal research and non-federal research. We're 27th in the nation right now among public universities in research. Seen that lately? $367 million. How many companies in Kentucky do that every year? Not many. It's about 200 when I got here, which wasn't that bad. So we're 21st in non-federal research. Pretty good, close to top 20. And so the things that we have that we're measuring are hard to measure. We could have chosen some easier stuff. Or I tell you what we could do. We could choose to go out to a recruiting fair and pay kids to fill out a document to apply to this university and then reject them, so that our selectivity rate would go up and our U.S. News and World Report rate would go up. Doesn't happen? It does happen. We're not doing that. And so I'm a worker. I am a worker. The people that are here are workers. They are focused on what they want to accomplish. And we're going to do it that way. And we're not doing this for rankings necessarily. This goal is an important goal. It differentiates us from the other universities in this state. And we need to be differentiated. And if we don't have a stretch goal, this state's in trouble. And if we don't have people who are willing and focused on achieving that goal, who've come here from places where they could have stayed or they could have gone elsewhere and been paid higher salaries, those people are set on that goal. So that was your first question. I don't think I have to explain the top 20 plan to people who read it. The Herald Leader did a great job of spreading it out right before Christmas. And I was amazed. I went around to 3 different places I was shopping on that Sunday for Christmas gifts. And people came and said, I read that plan. I really do understand it. Nobody knew what it was before. It's just a number. But now we're measuring these things. Connie Ray measures them every year. We'll show them to you. We're not doing well in undergraduate stuff because of ACTs. How long will it take us to change that? Well, let's see how fast we can change K-12. Your second question was timing. End of June, it'll be 10 years. These are dog years in some cases. These are long years. I'll be 65 years old. I know it's a shock, but I will be 65. My wife's 40, but that's different. So, my health is fine for now, but there are days I worry about it because I don't get any exercise and I don't get any much relaxation. I don't spend enough time with my family. So I think it's just the right time. I'm encouraged by the fact that we have had such a great application pool for the deanships that we've filled. We have 15 new deans since I've been here. And the last couple of years, Provost Subbaswamy has been able to get the top candidate in each of those selections we've gone through. And I think we'll get a lot of good applications for this job. We're probably more known for what we're doing here outside of Kentucky than we are inside. The business plan is being used by several places. And I think it'll get us some candidates, but we may have some inside the state as well. You had a question.
Will you assist in the search for the next president? What advice would you give that person?
I don't know what, I mean, we'll have to appoint a search committee. That's really the board's job. And I'll have my opinions. I'll have to, see how that goes. And I will have, I'm going to tell them what I think we need to do as far as some things. But the board, that's their role, is to evaluate the president, to hire the president. So they'll put together a search committee, which will be made up of faculty and staff in addition to board members. And then they'll do a national search. I'm sure they'll hire a headhunter of some sort and get an application pool, go through an interview process. And I was out of education for 18 years in business, and I've done this for 10 years and proud of it. And I don't want to spend my time looking over the shoulder of anybody or tell them how to do this. I want to focus on the things where I feel like I can add value. And so I'm really hopeful. I tell you, the thing I want, I don't want a president coming in here I go, starting now, who sees this as a jumping off place. They want to come here, build some numbers, and jump to some other place. I want somebody who wants to come here and finish their career here. I want somebody who comes here not to just have an outstanding university, but to change the state of Kentucky. And that's a different story. There are universities where they are pinnacles of excellence, but you get 60 miles away and they don't know about it. And so we need to continue to be the University of Kentucky, not the University of Lexington. So I'm looking for somebody who has that sense. Yes? Well, I've already had a few of my folks tell me they're going to accelerate some things they want to do while I'm still here. So I'll sit down with all of them, and there's some pretty exciting things. We began this summer looking at our top 20 plan, and we built that plan based on growing this university. If you look at how we're compared to Michigan, Wisconsin, and those places, Michigan has at least twice the faculty size that we have. I think Swami maybe higher than that. So when we did the plan, if you look at the numbers we're trying to achieve in research and in publications and those things, we had to be bigger. Our projection was that we were going to do that with bodies of students coming in here. It's very possible, based on some experience that Mark Kornblue had this summer. He offered 10 online courses and brought in $2 million worth of additional revenue to reach out to students, and we haven't done as much of that as we need to do. So we're going to look at the business plan and see if we have other revenue streams. The reason we built it on bodies was tuition dollars, because that's how we don't expect the state to give us a lot. We have cut $112 million out of our operating expenses since I've been here. Had we not done that, we'd have really had some problems. But we've done about as much as we can do. We're going to need to grow in order to bring the money in, but we've got to grow faculty first. And I think distant learning is a way that the technology, I mean, I was in that business in the early days. The technology is getting close now. And students come in here expecting to see some of that. So we'll relook at that plan, and I'll be selling this university to any applicant that wants to think about it. But mostly I'll just listen to the people who are here that are responsible for things, that have ideas of what they want to do. Yes?
You talked about wanting to talk with politicians and work with them on a more intensive basis after July 1st of next year. Do you think the realm of politics is something that you would actually possibly get into?
No, this job is as political as I want to be. I made a decision when I came back to Kentucky, having been able to get an education at MIT, which was fabulous, that I wanted to do something to help the state. I thought the Lord had been awfully good to us and had given us that gift. And I thought about politics, and I thought about, well, maybe I can hand out cards for the next gubernatorial candidate, or I can do something. But then you realize that a politician, when they approach somebody with an idea, 50% of the people are going to be against you probably because you're the wrong party. And then I also looked at Ed Pritchard. Ed Pritchard, if you don't know, when he did run for politics, he got in trouble and went to prison. But then when he came out, he became an advisor to governors, talking about the need for education. So I've talked to Martha Lane Collins and Wallace Wilkinson and Brereton Jones, and I've been able to get in to see Paul Patton and all of those governors. And I would rather work with them, because I think my value add is economic development, math science education, technology, when we need to do that. So I don't foresee any political role. I may be able to express my opinions a little more openly than I have in this position, because you can't say much about that.
Todd, would you like to be the next Ed Pritchard? There seems to be.
Wow, yeah. Ed was focused, and Bob Sexton, bless his heart, was so focused on K-12. I wouldn't mind being in that category as an educator for the state. I think that's, and maybe higher education is the space that I've chosen to operate to some extent. But right now, we got to blur the lines. I thought the other day, if you think of a structure, you think of higher education up here and you think of K-12 education here. But the glue that connects them are the same students that come together. And we better get that glue to stick and to work. And I'm eager to work with the superintendents in this state to change the way we teach K-12, the technology, because if I would have been able to walk down the hall, I used to run the 35mm projector in our school, partly because I could sit in the dark with my future wife and watch these academic movies. But I thought that's pretty cool. I mean, it's the most machinery, it's the most electronic thing we had. If I could have walked down the hall and said, I'm getting ready to go down and take a course in the University of Kentucky, I'd have felt like I was an astronaut. You know, we got to give that feeling to kids who can't get that feeling where they are. And so I would take the rap of being a Pritchard-like educator or a Bob Sexton-type person gladly in this life. Yes, sir.
How important is your relationship with the board, and did that relationship play any part in your decision?
I'm really glad you asked it, because I hear there's a blog out there that said there's some fracture in the board or something like that. Blogs are blogs, and why anybody that projects news would pick up information from a blog and project that as news is a crime. There's nothing wrong with my board. I'll get my evaluation tomorrow. I won't give you the number now, but it's an A. I've gotten one. I've gotten one every year. They're great. One thing I tell you about this board, and that's been the case since I've been here, is that they don't meddle. I mean, I've really not had that issue. And I don't. This is just 10 years. It's the right time. They're shocked, the ones I've talked to today. They're surprised. They thought Lee Todd, University of Kentucky, till there's a casket involved, it'll be that way. I didn't want that to happen too soon. But no, I'm glad you asked, because there is absolutely nothing to that type of discussion. And I've had some tremendous board chairmen, and it's been a good relationship. Still is.
Over here in the second row.
Yeah.
What exactly does this mean for the top 20 plan?
Well, I think we're going to revamp it and look at it. Angie Martin, Connie Ray really put a lot of work into that. We're going to think about the funding model for it. And when I said I want to talk to politicians, Scott, you know, I really want to share some thoughts on models of how you fund things, like using economic development bonds to build research buildings, you know, so we don't have to compete with all the other universities that aren't research universities for everybody gets a building whenever we have money, and we got to fix that. But once we finish the plan, we'll see what we think it'll take to finance it and move it forward. And then, I think it's up to the next president what they do with it. I think we've got enough commitment to it on behalf of an awful lot of leaders that are in this place that they'll want to take it and run with it. And I hope that's the case, but I can't mandate that. So, Tom?
In your new role as a lame duck, what's one thing you would like to tell the legislature about their responsibility for hiring?
Well, I would tell them that, one, what they did for us when they stepped outside of the CPE budget, they stepped outside of the governor's budget, and the House and Senate voted us $23 million worth of recurring funding in that base. Let's do that again. I would tell them that really was an inspiration to this place. I mean, I had people that were just on air around here because we created 60 new faculty positions. We created about a dozen new counselors. So I would tell them that funding is necessary. They did it when they had money. The problem is we don't have money now, so what do you do? I would like for them to be looking at every dollar they spend and spend old money new ways. Spend prison dollars on education, spend healthcare dollars on education, spend retirement dollars on education. I'm pretty focused on where I think they should spend it. And I think they got some hard decisions to make in all three of those. I think they need to step up and make those decisions. We've made those decisions, not prisons, thank goodness. And that would be it. And look at different funding models. I would like to be able to go out and talk to Bill Friday in North Carolina, who headed that system, who still has a TV show. He's well up there right now, about what did North Carolina do, what did Wisconsin do, and come back and share those ideas. But we've got to do something different. You can't, we can't continue to just wait until there's more money. This is a perfect time for us to pass a few people, and I think that we are in some cases. But those are the things, that funding was, we're still drafting off of that. It's amazing to me that, it's given us as long a speed as it has. And it got into the vocabulary. People still talk about that plan. And we do. I got to go back to Cheryl's question. It is our responsibility. Nobody else is going to pick it up and read it on their own. So we need to sell it out some more to get people to really understand it and how hard it is. We didn't make it because it was easy.
We have somebody over here.
Okay. Oh, yes.
Your announcement is coming as a surprise to some people, so I was wondering how long you've been thinking about this. And then second question, do you anticipate being actively involved in the business world? You also had a successful career in business.
I have been thinking about it probably since January of this past year. Partly when you go through a legislative session, a budget session, and you work really hard with Steve Byers and Bill Swinford, Tom Harris, and you don't get anywhere. You have to come back and say, sorry, we don't have money for a raise this year. It started probably entering my mind then of what are we going to do? Because I say there is no normal here that we're looking at. And so then during the summertime, I actually worked at home, spend more time with Patsy and be home to try to think some more. Thinking that maybe I'll just get revved up. But the more I thought about it, the more I need to do something different. So that was the time scale, probably January through the summer. In the business world, I'm on one board in Pittsburgh now. I really want to be able to hang on to Lynn Heller's coattail and help him do what he's doing. And I don't know if he needs my help or not, but I like that area. I like recruiting. I like recruiting a lot. I like recruiting companies, but boy, we got to create our own too. So we got to do both. And so if I'm involved in business, I've not invested in anything. If I wasn't in this position, I would probably invest it in the angel fund and put some money into some of those things to help those young businesses have a shot. I talked to Jim Stucker today, one of my board members, who was the man who helped me raise that $1.8 million for starting DataBeam. And I told him how much we need people like him who are willing to take risk on people who have an idea, who've never had a company before, and got us started. And so I want to try to help do some of those things.
One more over here.
Don't see.
Yeah. First of all, thanks for everything, really.
Well,
I remember at your inauguration, you saluted the high school teacher who introduced you to the excitement of calculus and physics. So I'm wondering whether you're going to be an emeritus faculty member and come back and maybe help our students capture the excitement of calculus and physics.
I could probably do more to get them excited about it than teach them about it right now. It's passed me by maybe, but You know, I actually, when I spoke to those superintendents yesterday, I had the little box that that teacher gave me. And just quickly, Mr. Fulkerson, our physics teacher, we didn't have calculus, we didn't have trigonometry, so he taught algebra, as he said, and geometry. But he, one day, caught me on the way home and gave me this little kit that Bell Labs had sent him. And I know they sent it to him hoping that he would buy a bunch of them, but he didn't have any money. And he gave it to me to say, here, take this home. And I had it with me. Mine's long gone. I'll tell you what I did with it in a minute, but my mother, I'm sure, threw it out with my baseball cards. But Truman Stevens, who retired a few years ago in the College of Education, called me one day and said, what color is that box you talk about? And I said, well, it's orange with a black lettering. He said, I just found one. So I've got one that's in this package. But you take that thing, and it had a booklet in it that you would read, and the title of it was to turn sun into sound. And it had a new thing called a solar cell. This was in 1963. It had a transistor. And this book told you how to calculate the size of a piece of aluminum foil, size of a piece of wax paper, how to wrap it and make a capacitor, how to wrap wire around a pencil and make it an inductor, and how to put that together, and you had an oscillator that can convert that energy from the solar cell into sound. That's it. I mean, it's hands-on. That's what got me excited. You know, why don't we figure that out? And so we got to get that. And so I want to change what I want to do. The people I'd like to enthuse, and I do it each semester now, I speak to all the elementary science teachers and math teachers that we have, the people who have the guts to say, I'm going to go in and really teach math and science. And so I do have a full-time professorship in engineering. That's part of my contract. So I'd have to think about what I want to do. But trying to excite students about math and science is real high on my list.
We have time for two more. Eric, you had one.
Yeah.
You mentioned that it seems though we've hit a plateau, that this is the time that we can catch other universities here at UK. Do you think just the pure fact that a new president would be in would help give that bump next time the legislature starts to look at the budget, or that it was just time to bring in new blood at that?
You know, it's possible a new president would be able to get a commitment from the governor and legislature to do it. It's not, I wouldn't bet on it. I think we've just got to put a plan together and keep pushing it. The thing that will sell that, hopefully more than the president, are the people we've put in place around this place now that are generating $367 million, I think, Jim, in research. And they will help sell what we do here. We've got to expose them to more people to let them know how we're working on diabetes and how we're working on Parkinson's and how we're working on energy and clean coal and all that. But there is a change, and so those changes, transitions can be helpful, and if we can leverage it, we will, for more money for this place. And if I can help, I will. One last question.
Anybody else?
Okay. I think I've got everything I wanted to say, so thank you all very much. We got 9 more months to go. Let's get back to work. So.